Welcome to another stage analysis video. It's Wednesday the 15th of November 2023. I'm going to do a special group focus video this week. We've covered the semiconductors a number of times over the last year. Obviously been one of the leading groups of the year, if not the leading group of the year. And just the last couple of weeks has moved back into the number one spot in the RS rankings. SMH is one of the ETFs that covers the groups. There's the SOXX as well, and a number of other ETFs that you can use to look at the group, and obviously lots of different ways of getting breadth, etc. So I'm going to start in the first part of the video just going through the weekly and daily charts of this, and obviously a bit of stage analysis on what's going on with the semiconductors group before getting into some of the breadth indicators for the group, see what's actually going on under the surface, and then stage analysis of the individual stocks in the group to see obviously a bit more depth from where it's actually at in terms of the overall position. It's currently with the group chart here, you can see similar to what we see in the leader, which is Nvidia, which is obviously at approaching the top of the current stage 3 range. So made a new 52-week high here today or this week, and is pushing the top of the channel. It's above the 2021 highs here now. It's had a decent pullback over the last 3 months or so. Obviously exploded out over the last 3 weeks, back through the 30-week moving average and the 10-week moving average, testing the top of the range. So currently, if we draw a obviously rectangular box across here, currently still within this horizontal structure, which potential stage 3. We started to break to stage 3 back at this point through here and the latter point of September. Obviously now testing the top of the range. So if this obviously turns negative from this point, if it turns into a double top or up thrust after distribution, potentially we've got Nvidia's earnings coming out next week. We could see obviously a UTAD where we have a fake breakout, attempt to new highs, and then it comes back into the range again, starts to form more distributional characteristics and comes down and starts to break back down towards obviously more stage 4 type behavior. So we could potentially, that's a potential negative where it could obviously roll over, form a UTAD, and then turn into obviously late stage 3 and fall down into stage 4. On the positive side of the scales though, with such the breadth expansion that we've seen over the last week or so, we've seen an explosion in the small caps, some of the obviously areas that have been particularly beaten down in the market starting to show some signs of strength. So we could obviously push through to new highs here. So more positive scenario, potentially we could obviously either consolidate in this range here and then make a continuation to new highs and start to continue off into obviously a new stage 2 advancing phase. So at the moment, obviously we're still in stage 3 here, so we're still in obviously an iffy position. You can see back here, this has got a good example through 2021 where it obviously got extended in stage 2, started to build out a range, developed into stage 3. So this point through here, it was a more significant pullback, so potential signs that it might be entering early stage 3, but at that point would still be considered late stage 2. Obviously then formed a lower high and rolled over, started to fall back below its 10-week moving average again, touched the 30-week moving average. So this area through here would start to be considered more into stage 3, and obviously did manage to actually push out and make a stage 2 continuation attempt. So did have a little UTAD attempt through here where it pushed out and then rolled over, but quickly reversed that at the 30-week moving average again and then pushed higher. So obviously stage 3 doesn't always have to roll over and turn into stage 4. Sometimes it can just be a bigger distributional pattern that then obviously resolves to the upside again once the supply is absorbed. So it could potentially see similar kind of thing to that if obviously the bulls prevail as such in the market at the moment. So lots of strength in the near term. We can see relative strength starting to make higher highs here ahead of the price action, so that's a positive as well in the near term. Drop to the daily chart, you can see the double top at the moment, got the top of the current range here, so just pushing out today and yesterday, holding above slightly, but a little bit extended in the short term here. So when we've got the count on the channel on here with the 21 EMA, and then the count the bands, we have the +1, +2, and the +3 count the bands. So when you get to +3 on the daily count the bands here, it tends to be fairly extended. So especially when you're starting to push out. So we can see back here in May we had a similar period where it got extended. Obviously this is the kind of behavior that you expect to see, some kind of consolidation, some kind of pullback. It's when you get above the 3 ATR level, you tend to get some kind of correction or pullback. Obviously only the very strongest moves continue to thrust above the 3 ATR level for a long period. So normally once extended, we're looking for consolidation or some kind of pullback to let the moving averages catch up. Obviously it catch its breath a little bit. So potentially we could start to see this come back in again. We have got Nvidia next week, as I said, which is a key driver for this group, obviously being one of the largest stock in the group, followed by AMD, I believe. So we could potentially be looking for some kind of consolidation move before a potential stage 2 continuation. But if we do go the UTAD route, obviously we could see this kind of behavior where it starts to break to the upside. It looks bullish, but then quickly shoots back down into the range again, then can't make a higher high and starts to roll over, at which point this becomes obviously a short at that point. So obviously still could go either way here. The market is still in stage 3 and we're just testing the top of the range. So this is very similar to what we're seeing in the Nasdaq 100, for example, but the S&P 500 a little bit further behind. Russell 2000 is still below its 200-day moving average, still in obviously a much deeper position, so as well as the NYC, etc. So semiconductors leading at the moment, so this is going to be a key area for the market. We want to see, obviously, if this does continue, make a new stage 2 continuation breakout attempt. Obviously that would be a positive towards the overall market breadth, towards the weight of evidence. So obviously all eyes will be on Nvidia next week, really. Let's move on into the holdings of this ETF. So I've shown this before when we've talked about this, but obviously they change over time. Currently Broadcom is the top holding at the moment with just over 10%. Taiwan Semiconductor, then ASML, all got similar kind of amounts, around 10%, then Nvidia and AMD with just over 7% there. So the top 10 stocks in this with almost 75% obviously of the net assets. So it is quite heavily weighted in only a small amount of stocks, only got 25 in total. I think the Semiconductors group is a little bit bigger than that overall, so it's a fairly focused ETF as such. So not necessarily, it might not necessarily be completely representative of the group, which obviously we'll go into next in the market breadth. So